welcome to another episode of Gadgets and Gizmos. My name is Gaurav Preti and what do we have on the show? Tell them what's on the show. I was just kidding. People are getting so physical these days, man. What is the world coming to? I will come back to the show though. Huawei has launched the Honor 5C, their budget offering in the sub 10K thousand segment, which is a very competitive segment, man. You got some awesome smartphones in this segment already. So how good is the Honor 5C? Over to Dr. Bones calling. Over to Sahil.
If you look at the budget segment of the market, it is very competitive. There are loads of good phones. There's the Redmi Note 3, there's the Moto G4 Plus, and there's also the new entrant, the U Unicorn. But if there's a brand that's failed to produce a solid product in that category, then it has to be Chinese major Huawei. Well, the company claims that's set to change because of this device, the Honor 5C. And I've been testing this phone for the last few days, so let's jump into the review quickly and find out if this phone is worth your time. One of the biggest USPs of this phone is its rather compact form factor. Most budget smartphones have a 5.5-inch screen or they go larger. This one remains planted at 5.2 inches, which makes sure it's kind of compact. The other great thing is it's pretty well built and it's rather handsome. Huawei claims that it's made out of aluminium, and we kind of agree with them. Feels pretty solid and looks quite handsome. That's a great thing always. And the camera, the rear 13 megapixel camera is quite decent. If you're in for some good snaps, then this one will do the job in daylight. Low light, obviously, it will disappoint. The fingerprint scanner is whip smart and is really fast. Overall, the big takeaway from this phone is that there are no evident red flags, and that's always a good thing. While it doesn't have any red flags, it's not exceptional. For instance, this display. Yes, it's compact, but it's very washed out. Similarly, this rear camera, it's a 13 megapixel camera. It takes decent photos in daylight, but if you're looking for the best bang for your buck for this price range, then that award goes to the Moto G4 Plus. That has a great camera. It rivals the iPhone 6s. Well, even the performance, it's quite nimble, but again, if you have to compare this Kirin 650 chip with, say, a Snapdragon 650 on a Redmi Note 3 or a Snapdragon 801 on a Lenovo, then, well, it's like chalk and cheese. The performance is there, but it's just about average overall. And that's the story of this phone. It's not exceptional. Even in terms of software updates, it's running Marshmallow, and the way Huawei customizes this phone with Emotion UI, chances are you won't get Android N till next year, which isn't always a great thing. And overall, the big takeaway is that it's not a bad phone, but it certainly is not the best phone for its price.
I'm glad it's not a 1,000 rupee note and just a paper, man. I can do with that. Anyway, so it seems that Apple is not only getting a stiff competition in the smartphone business, but also in the Ultrabook business, in whichever category the MacBook Air falls into, because companies are churning out these Ultrabooks that look gorgeous, offer you a great processing power, and value for money indeed they are. This week we have the HP NV13, and let's find out how good it is. Over to myself. And things definitely look better on bigger displays, there's no doubt about that. But when we talk about portability, We want things to be compact. This is the HP NV13. It's lightweight and it's compact. I call it the MacBook Air for Windows. The HP NV13 Ultrabook has the looks, great build quality and power pack performance. Though the NV's design definitely resembles a certain Apple laptop, there are enough differences here that the similarities aren't too embarrassing. The lid's dark black bezel does a great job of highlighting the screen, which has a matte finish that doesn't produce the distracting reflections we typically see with gloss. It's also pretty neat how the J-shaped lid lifts the laptop up to a comfortable typing angle. Even the port placement isn't as dire as you might expect on a laptop this thin. There are full-size HDMI port, a full-size SD card reader, and you get 3 full-size USB 3.0 ports. The NV13 has a classic Ultrabook keyboard. It's shallow but crisp, and typists will appreciate just how little HP has messed with the key layout. HP has done a good thing with the trackpad as well. It had made it wider due to space constraint, and this is pretty cool as your hands won't feel cramped up. Now when it comes to performance, this one is fast, man. It's powered by the Intel's latest 6th generation i7 processor. You have 8 GB of RAM and 125 GB of SSD storage. So this combination is deadly. It will give you a zippy performance. No matter what you throw at it, it will take care of it pretty nicely and smoothly. It's good, man, especially after coming from the office desktop. Nice. Day-to-day performance is excellent, but that comes down to the RAM and storage as much as the CPU. Its limits are much less restrictive than those of the Core M laptop too, and it's not going to start chugging as soon as you start opening up one too many Chrome tabs. The onboard fingerprint scanner is accurate. Now you'll need to run most games of the past 5 years at low settings to get frame rates that won't make you want to quit. And yes, you have the Bang & Olufsen stereo speakers, which offer good audio quality, but they aren't the loudest, however. Now HP has got lots of things right with the NV13. First of all, the performance, it's blazing fast. We had no issues whatsoever. The keypad is really good, very responsive, and so is the display. It's bright, man. Things look crystal clear. Been using it for 2 weeks and we face no problem whatsoever. And of course, it's been designed really well. It looks nice, it's portable, lightweight. It's meant to give you the performance on the go, and the price for what it offers is good enough. However, just like all of us, even the machines are not perfect, and the first problem that you will find in this machine is the battery life. It's not pathetic, but when you compare it to the competition like the Dell XPS 13 and the MacBook Air, it falls a little short. But then overall, it's a nice combination. It's a good machine if you can ignore the battery part, which is not that bad, but not up to the mark, really. So I would say it's a good buy, and it's a good buy.
Coming out, coming out, coming out, coming out, coming out. It's there. So guys, just a few weeks back, we had a highly convincing and very impressive outing with a set of speakers from LG from their X-Boom Cube stable. Today, we have another set of speakers from the same stable. These ones are the CM9960s from the X-Boom Cube stable, and they pack in a lot of more features than their earlier sibling. Now, they're huge, they're louder, and they're heavier. And if there's ever been a DJ inside you which has wanted to come to the fore, then you really want to take good notes and watch this whole review. So let's not waste more time and let's get this party started! LG's X-Boom Cube family of speakers has surely made a mark for itself. And the latest set of speakers that we've got our hands on is no less impressive. The CM9960s are an embodiment of sheer audio strength. The speakers offer 4800 cranking watts of audio power, and you need to hear them to believe how loud they can actually get. Each of the speakers pack an 8-inch woofer, 15-inch subwoofer and 2.5-inch front speaker tweeter unit, and together they are a force to reckon with. The control unit of these speakers resemble a fighter jet cockpit with a push-pull party thruster which builds up the energy and results in a massive blast once it peaks. And the lighting effects sync with the audio output perfectly. It also packs in mini turntables of sorts and a variety of audio beats and samples which override the audio output and can be added as and when your inner DJ pleases. The system is equipped with 2 aux ports, 2 USB ports, Bluetooth and CD compatibility. The speakers can connect with multiple devices via Bluetooth to create combined playlists, and it also offers a karaoke function. All in all, a perfect companion for those loud get-togethers with friends and family. So guys, whenever it comes to speakers, I always like to check them across genres to check their audio quality because that's what matters most. And the one problem I've faced maximum number of times is that the amount of bass offered by most speakers has never been up to my liking. When it came to LG's CM9960s, they actually turned the tables around because they're offering too much bass as per my liking. It's okay for electronic music, but I really don't want my windows rattling when I'm listening to an easygoing set by Arijit Singh. So there you go. Too much bass can also be a problem, and I guess CM9960s are suffering from that. If you have extra money to spend and if you want to have house parties at your place and if you want to listen to electronic music and there is a DJ inside you which wants to come to the fore, go for these speakers, but do remember they are going to cause quite a sting to your pocket.
Because if you don't play and work all day, it will make you a dull, boring, stupid man. Game review.
Stop her! If you keep this up, I swear you'll be dead in a month.
Using every weapon at our disposal, we've got to destroy it.
Back off. Whoever did this, and he'll be able to do it to anyone unless he's stopped.
Get out of my sight!
That's it?
Let's not beat around the bush. As loved as Mirror's Edge is, few will claim it to be the perfect game. It suffered from some major setbacks while admittedly giving the world something unique. Fast forward 7 years and the sequel reboot finds itself in a brand new gaming landscape. Does it fix the problem of the original or does it fall flat on its face? Let's find out.
Your progress mirrors the results we're seeing from every facility. Direct the mirror, activate the alarm. Deal with him. Wait! I need him alive. Stop her!
What are you gonna do next?
I'm gonna run.
Without spoiling anything, Catalyst opts to throw much of the story progression from the first game out of the window and just reboots the entire storyline with some recurring characters from the first. What's here isn't going to win any award but is performed and acted competently enough to act as a motivation to go from point A to B. Much like the original, the City of Glass is aesthetically beautiful, pristine whites, overblown lighting effects, sharp lines across the architecture. There are just so many things about the visual presentation that makes it appealing. If we were to boil it down to a single word, it would be called clean.
What do you need?
Go to the Anansi Emporium. I will update you along the way.
The gameplay itself remains mostly intact from the original, with new moves and bigger focus on hand-to-hand combat. Unfortunately, combat is where Catalyst is at its weakest. When you're free running and taking down enemies using the new traversal takedowns, the combat feels smooth and interesting. It's when things slow down and you have to take on enemies to move ahead, the game starts to go haywire.
I'm gonna send a clear message to Kruger.
Then you'll have to shoot me too.
You can also knock enemies into environments or into each other's to deal additional damage. The first problem that rears its head is several clipping issues that crop up when you knock enemies into environments. Even more hilarious are the totally uninspired and sometimes hilarious animations of enemies falling on top of one another when knocked into. It gets boring pretty fast, and worse, it slows the game down.
Elysium is one of the taller buildings. You should see their logo on the side.
I see it. Something doesn't feel right.
The traversal mechanics are excellent on the other hand. Running across the city at full speed while tackling some challenging first-person platforming feels good. Unlike combat, the controls here are responsive and tight, coupled with a generous checkpoint system that makes running across the rooftops a blast. Despite some of its major problems, there is definite fun to be had here. The free running is still smooth and responsive, while the combat is still monotonous and boring. The storyline won't matter much after a while, even with all the cliched dialogues and compare.
I'm sorry, I should have come sooner.
Far be it from me to judge. It's not like you owe me anything.
Look, about that, I've got something to square my debt with.
And campy setups, it doesn't boil over into unwatchable territory. There are many good ideas here, but they are weighed down by a few terrible ones. Priced at Rs 3,499 for the PC and 3,999 for the PS4 and Xbox One. At that price, it's probably best to wait for a sale. Alright, time to see what's making news in the world of technology. It's time for Tech News.
India's cabinet on Wednesday cleared the base price for the country's largest spectrum auction to date, expected to fetch around $85 billion at the approved reserve price. It will address the menace of mobile phone call drops and give a push to 4G data communications. According to Microsoft, to get a better battery life on your laptop, all you have to do is uninstall Chrome browser and use its own Edge browser. This one simple change will improve the battery life of a laptop by up to 50%, says the company. Chrome is fairly awesome, but it remains a browser that guzzles through the battery in a laptop. Google has finally released its own keyboard for the iPhone. The keyboard is essentially an extension of the company's search functions. Google's keyboard for iPhone is called Gboard, and it features a G button on the top left-hand corner, which allows users to perform web searches, GIFs, images, and more, right from the keyboard. The idea is to search and paste directly into any conversation. Apple Inc. could open its first stores in India and might eventually start manufacturing in the country as well, under new foreign investment rules for retailers. The new rules exempt foreign retailers for 3 years from a requirement to source 30% of the goods sold in company-owned stores locally. That would allow Apple, which currently sells its iPhones, iMacs and iPads through resellers, to set up its own shops in India, ending months of uncertainty for the California-based company that had first applied for store licenses in January. The move will not only benefit Apple but other Chinese tech honchos like Xiaomi and Leeco that have been vying to open their own exclusive stores in the country.
Alright, that's the end. Finish. We got nothing more to do because I've been working the whole week. I'm going crazy. Follow us on Twitter. I have only 150 followers. That's it. You know, what are you doing on Twitter? If you're on Twitter, you got to follow me. Because then I will follow you. And then you follow me, I follow you. We get more followers. We have to be more than 150. We'll see you next week. I'm going crazy. Gadgets and Gizmos.